Good morning. Good morning. You can do better than this. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Siddharth and I are still on the US time zone, so it's time for us to go to bed. But your words are waking me up. I read the title of this book, and when you see something, the first thing that comes to your mind is who is your competitor? And the competitor comes a person called Philip Kotler. So this event to me seems like a newly wedded girl who is at her in-laws, and her father comes to see her. She is told that the father is in the drawing room. She wants to come to meet her, and she doesn't know whether to smile or not. If she smiles, it gives an indication that she is not happy at the in-laws. And if she doesn't smile, the father would say that she is not happy either. So I am caught between a student of mine, Siddharth Singh, and a colleague of mine, Philip Kotler, right? Because the two people are like two families to me. But you know, Hindi में कहावत है कि गुरु गुरु रह गए चेले गुरु बन गए, right? So today it's a matter of pride for any teacher when you see a student rise to the occasion. And there cannot be a better occasion than to create something that would touch the minds and hearts of people over the years. You as a human being cannot travel everywhere, but the book would. So I think this is a first step towards a long journey. And I've always believed that we should have a global reach mindset, but the global reach should have local roots. And if you look at this book, whatever little I know about it has been tailored to the Indian context. India is a country that attracts attention of everyone in the world for one reason or the other. And to have a textbook that would give you the global concepts with a touch of how realities are in India is a very needed book or a very needed textbook, which I think people are going to use it. And I have always believed that competition is the other name of excellence. It's good to have two or many, because for students also it's not good to have only one perspective. So when they have this book and they go to the library and see others, it would be good for both authors to keep improving. And when I first went to US in 1983, we had to write a term paper as a PhD student. And the paper I wrote was, when should an author launch the second edition of the book? That is just a mathematical operations research problem, the optimal time to launch the second edition. What happens is that once the book is out, you sell, but very soon the secondary market evolves, the second-hand market. Once the second-hand market evolves, the publisher gets no royalty, the author gets no royalty, and the publisher, of course, no sales. So it's time for you to launch the second edition. And the point is, many people launch second edition by adding another 2 chapters. For students, they can just go and Xerox those 2 chapters. So the recommendation I made was add 2 chapters, but change the ordering of the current chapters, so that you fool the people, you don't know which chapter is 1 and 2. So you start weaving those 2 chapters in the book, rather than just an exogenous addition to 2 chapters. And this is just like a doctoral paper. My point is, this is where I think we need in academia, where people look at global concepts but try to bring it to relevance. As academics, we have 3 missions: knowledge creation, which we create through research and textbooks. Second is knowledge dissemination, how you disseminate the knowledge through all the programs, whether it is MBA, bachelor's, degree programs, non-degree programs. And third is knowledge certification. Many consulting firms can do the first 2, but not the third. We at ISB, we at Kellogg, we at INSEAD, we at Thailand, we have the authority to grant the degree. That privilege many firms do not have. So, if you look at today's event and to look at the content behind the event, this Siddharth Shekhar Singh, Noel Capon, whom I have known since 1985 when I was in the job market, he decided not to interview me. I will tell him when I meet him that yes, you still owe me something. This book is the first step towards management field, because we need not only good trade books, but I am a big believer in textbooks. But these are the foundations, and when you take the time to write the foundations, then depending on the topics of interest for the Indian context, you can see lots of other books coming by the same author or people who read those books. I always encourage people that after you have made tenure to think of writing a book, because very often nowadays to publish your research paper on the knowledge creation, you have lots of reviewers, right, who have their own opinions. But when you write your own book, you are the author and you are the reviewer and you are the sole decision maker, because some people need to hear your thoughts that sometimes cannot be expressed through the articles that you write, because for articles we have lots of resistance also. Sometimes I call it the power of the powerless, because those people have power, those reviewers, though they may not be big, but they still have power in the review process, and rightfully so. So, I am very, very happy, Siddharth, that you took this step to write this book, and not only write it, but think of it as the beginning. From day one, be like Professor Kotler. You know, whenever he meets with someone, he writes a book, he always takes a piece of paper from his pocket, and when someone says, he starts taking it, writing it down with the dates and others, and he is very generous when it comes to complimenting the authors in his next edition, that this idea came from them. So, from today you have a ongoing homework, right. I had him as a PhD student at Kellogg and gave him a hard time, but so I thought that I will repay back so today by coming from there, not only about the book, but now it comes to ISB. Why is it important for ISB? Because as I said that as an institution, we are also in the business of knowledge creation. So, when anyone would read, Kellogg gets more recognition from Phil Kotler than Phil Kotler. He does not need any introduction, but we get, because when people read where is Phil Kotler, people would first think, oh, Harvard, Stanford, the usual brands. But when they read and they find out that he is at Northwestern University at the Kellogg school, we also benefit. And I think that is something very important for ISB also, that yes, your Triveni here is the publisher, the author and the place. The individual institution and the person who endorses, which is the Wiley, and I am very happy that they are here, because all three, this Triveni or this triangle, should be the beginning of Wiley interested in other publications from this institution. Definitely the success of the book would drive where how much they would be interested in future, but I think that this is, marketing is a field which is going to be an enduring field. Though we call it marketing or managing marketing or marketing management, we all have to deal with this at every aspect of our life. Even dealing with kids is nothing but marketing. Because they are also like in some sense a customer or a partner of yours, except there is one problem, that you have a stronger emotional attachment than a rational view. As a parent, as a dean, as a faculty, we all have to deal with this part. So, this book is not going to be a book just for students, but this book should be a book for a common reader. And our dean told me that one thing he feels, that at least he can understand this book. He was being too modest about it, but I believe what Kotler did was, and sorry for me to refer to him because I learnt a lot from him, is he wrote a book after his marketing management textbook called Kotler on Marketing, which is for the layman. The same content except the 5 boxes and 6 arrows and others that he is very traditional in his books. He wrote a book called Kotler on Marketing, which is basically the essence of all the chapters that a layman should read. So, Siddharth, and to your co-author I say, let us first see how this book does, but then you can think about for executives, for people who come here in non-degree programs, but not necessarily from the marketing field, they can get a field can get a feel for marketing with the Indian touch or the regional context. That is something very important. The other, so ISB is definitely going to benefit, and I am sure for all the other authors here, if you are asked to be a part of someone to write a book, do not say no. Many academics would tell you no because they think books are not counted towards tenure, but tenure to me is just one indicator or one metric over your whole process. We are not writing papers every day or every moment, but these thoughts that come to your mind can be inscribed and keep in your diary, and sometimes when you get chance you should think about it, because it gives you what you have learned and how you are presenting that learning in form of knowledge dissemination. At breakfast I was talking with my other colleague Professor Anand Bodapati, who is here, who went to MIT, went to Stanford, then came to Kellogg as a professor of marketing and now at UCLA. And we were chatting this morning regarding this whole idea about you have academic rigor, but you also need to have business relevance. And he mentioned that it is important a book should have relevance to the Indian context. We can read many books, and why many of the American nationals or multinationals are not successful here, because the first mistake they make is they think the consumer behavior is universal. Why low cost airlines work so well in India? The distances are not much. An hour and up to 2 hours journey hardly makes a difference between business class and Indigo. Yesterday I told Lakshmi just to put me in Indigo. There is other thing, there is no first class, so nobody would say that this guy is not traveling first class and he is traveling economy class. So there is no segmentation there, but such airlines are going to do far better in an environment like this, as opposed to other environments where the class also has a relevance to the person who is sitting there. I do not think it matters, but at least all these low cost airlines in India, they have made a huge impact, and it's going to continue. But my third part to that is you need to have academic excellence, you need to have business relevance, but third point is you also need to have social significance. Today, particularly for a country like India, I think that we need to touch many people who are not privileged to come to ISB or to schools like ISB and others. And it's, I think, a moral duty for us to do that. You know, when I was a kid, my father used to say that you have these 4 stages of human life, starting from brahmacharya, which I call the first 25 years, I call it study. Then 26 to 50 is when you go to work, which I term as yahan par grihastha, I call it success. And then 51 to 75 is the third phase, which is called vanprastha, and that I call significance. So when I was the dean of Kellogg and I used to welcome the students, I used to tell them, by joining Kellogg, you are starting your journey from success to significance. But for you to do anything meaningful, first you have to be successful. That is why we talk about Bill Gates. He has established a platform. There are lots of people who are doing things in Africa and others, but people do not talk about them because they do not have a success platform behind it. And this book, to me, is like a platform on which the first train has started running. And this will become a junction when other train comes. So think of it as not only a book for the students, but something that we can do for our country. So this is a new chapter in your life, but a significant chapter, and I am very hopeful that this is a lesson not only for Siddharth, but for many faculty members at ISB, for faculty members within India and others, to think of writing books that has relevance to our context and that has significance very much. Before I conclude, I remember once I was saying the same thing, and a person in the audience asked this question, Professor, I am just an individual. How can I make a difference? I am making a difference, and I say I am just one person. I remember telling him, to the world you may be a person, but to a person you can be the world. And that is, to one person this book can be the world, and if one person touches another person, each of us can make this world a happy and a great place to live. So thank you, Ajit Sahab, for including me, Siddharth, Mr. Gupta, and all of you. Think of this as we are starting our journey from success to significance, or what I call purpose with performance. Thank you.